So here we are, end of July 2025. Can't believe it. The year is more than halfway through, and we are here looking at the West Hartford real estate market. We're going to do an update. In this video, I'm going to dive into the numbers. Everybody that's had a conversation with me or has watched my past videos knows that I'm a big believer in the numbers. They do not lie, and they are a great way to take the emotion out of real estate to make sure we are making good market-based decisions. So we're going to see if we can pick up any trends, any patterns to make sure whether you're selling, whether you're buying, that you are positioning yourself in the best way possible for your family and ultimately keeping yourself informed. So before I get into it, if you're curious what your home is worth, based on these trends, and you don't just want to leave it to Zillow as the estimate to know what it's worth, don't be shy. I get calls, texts, emails all the time from people who watch these videos, reaching out, asking questions. Happy to make a quick call. It's very painless, I promise. So let's get into the numbers. First thing I want to look at is how many homes are active on the market. This is a good baseline for us to track. So right now, there are 45 homes for sale in the town of West Hartford. That is single family homes. Now this, if you've been watching the past couple updates, this is trending upwards. 2 months ago, we were at 24 homes for sale. The end of May, height of the spring market, we only had 24 homes for sale. That's minuscule in a town like West Hartford, where there are 64,000 people over 64,000 people that live here. Now, last month's update, we went up to 36. And I shared then at that time, we're starting to see a trend. The inventory is increasing. As we get into summer, the buyer pool tends to slow a bit. People start traveling, going on vacation. I would anticipate the inventory continue to increase. And we did see that. It went up again to 45. So, we've gone up almost 50% in total inventory here in the past 2 months. This is a trend. We're going to keep watching. Now, my guess would be August will continue to go up, and then as we get into the fall, the winter, it'll steady back out. But it's something we'll track and we'll touch base on every month. Now, that's great. We know how many homes for sale. How many are actually selling, right? Because that will tell us what ratio is actually selling us and kind of give us a good sample size on the market itself. So in the past 30 days, there have been 56 sales in West Hartford. Again, this is single family homes we're looking at. So this has been pretty steady. Nothing's changed here in the past 3 months. We were at 50 homes, then we went up to 60, now we're at 56. So you can see we're right between 50 and 60 sales. This has been pretty consistent. But when you compare that to the active homes, now all of a sudden we're starting to see a trend where at some point this will affect pricing, because now buyers are starting to have more choices, but the same number of homes are selling, right? So when the same number of homes sell, and as we get more choices, that at some point will affect pricing. Now, the reality is 64,000 people live here. There's only 45 homes for sale. That's still a very strong, that's not a lot of inventory. That's a very strong seller's market. Prior to COVID, there'd be 220 homes for sale in West Hartford. There were a lot of choices. So you can see that we are still down historically, even though that number's starting to creep up. So the next thing I look at, average days on market. Right now we are at 5 days. So it's still, again, this is another sign we're still in a strong seller's market. If we look at the past couple months, we've fluctuated between 4 and 5 days. So nothing drastic there, right? The sales, the average days on market, we're not seeing a shift there. Again, this tells us, okay, the inventory is creeping up, but it hasn't changed any of our other metrics so far. We want to see an alignment there. That will show us some patterns. Next thing I want to look at is median sales price. This is because there's so much volume here. This one does fluctuate, and it's important to monitor because what I tell you today might be different 2 months from now. And if you're making an offer on a property and you're just looking at the past year, man, that's not taking advantage with what's happening today. And vice versa, if you're selling a property and you're just looking at the past year, generally speaking, it's not taking advantage of what's happening today, taking into account what's happening today. Let me explain. Right now, the median sales price is $575,000. Okay. Last month, it was $610,000. The month before that, it was $560,000, right? So you can see there's some fluctuation. And there's enough volume here in town with 50, 60 sales a month where this isn't just like a random one-off number skewing it, right? You can see that there's a difference with this much volume, with this many ebbs and flows in the market in terms of time of year, inventory increase. You can see how the number does change. I mean, $25,000 is a lot of money in terms of median. We saw 1 month that shot up 50, then it just pulled back. So just because your neighbor sold their house 3 months ago at X doesn't mean you're there, right? This is a fluid market. It's always changing. That's why when we list a home, we call our sellers weekly and report on what we're seeing because this is dynamic. This is changing. We want to make sure we're not reacting. We're staying ahead of the market with our strategy in terms of buying or selling, right? These numbers help us do that. So based on the numbers, anywhere from 560 to 610 past quarter is where this median sales been. Obviously, it's fluctuated. Right now, today, 575 is the median. Again, this is up over the past couple of years. All signs are still pointing towards a strong seller's market here in town at this point in time. Last metric I want to look at here is list to sales price ratio. It is still at 110%. It was at 110% last month. It was at 107% before that. The moral of the story, on average, homes are selling over asking price. So what does this mean? If you're a buyer and you're serious, you have to know going in, you're going to be in bidding wars. If it's a well-priced, well-kept home, you're going to be in bidding wars, and you have to be aggressive to actually win the property. If you're a seller, what does that mean? If you price your home correctly, the market is absolutely going to react, and in a positive way. This is the average. This is more times than not it's going over. And if you price your home too high and it's sitting on the market, and you're going 2-3 weeks and you're not getting any offers, that is a sign you are priced too high, and it's an opportunity for you to make a correction. Now, we've had many situations where maybe a seller shot too big at a number, then they come back into reality, and now all of a sudden it's multiple offers, right? But just throwing a big high price tag on it, buyers are still savvy enough where they may like a home, but if it's overpriced, they're not even going to take a look. And that hurts you as a seller's ability to maximize value, right? Because once a buyer does like it and they get in there and they see it and they want it, and now they know other people are competing, and they learn these ratios, these statistics, they understand they have to make a high offer. So that actually puts the seller at a greater advantage and really plays up that seller's market. So if you want to dive into any of these numbers, obviously this, if you're thinking about selling your home, it's very style specific, price specific, area of town specific. All of these things matter and coming up with a strategy. And if you're a buyer, same thing. Depending on what area you're looking at, we can really break this down into segments of the town and look at these numbers in a little more detail in that particular area and that particular price point, mainly to manage expectations as you're starting the process. Because if you know what to expect, that's going to make it's going to set you up for success, and it's going to make it a little easier to take on that move. Moving's stressful enough. There's no reason to add stressors to it. If this video was helpful, click subscribe. I don't pay for marketing. I put content like this out there in hopes that it's actually helping, educating. And if you subscribe, that's one of the ways that I know that you actually enjoyed the video. It was actually helpful. So don't be shy. If you have questions on any of this, you can call, you can text, you can email. My team and I get calls from people watching these videos all the time, and we are always happy to help. Make it a great day.